because there's no consequences. So you only got to get called a gronk here. And like, there was an old thing like, if you call someone a gronk, they got, it's on, you know what I mean? Gronk here in Australia means like, how would you, like, trying to think how would they say gronk in England, bruh? Whatever, bruh. Anyway,
It must be bad for them to have to beep it out. Yo, what's that? What's a grunk? What's a grunk? What's a grunk? That shit sound crazy. I ain't saying that shit.
Of the story.
Because we keep it positive and respectful around here. But I do need to know what it is, though. In case somebody call me that. Call me no damn grunk. Yo, lads. Yo, lad. Knock his head off his shoulders. Who shot out to the lads. Hold on. Shout out to the lads. Shout out to the lads. What we doing? Shout out to the lads. Yo, lad, you click the title, you read the page. You doing, mate? How you guys feeling, yo, lads? You know what I mean? It's like, you see my, yo, you new to the channel, you probably like, yo, what she know about that? Yo, stop playing with me. Yo, my members don't play about me. And I mean, they make sure I get all the good Australian stuff. All right, so get at that membership. Spanian. Shout out to Aaron S. and the Taboo Room. I like them.
Knives, and I was well versed in the practice of knives since primary school. So I thought I'll take this as an opportunity to go back to the school and do a siege. So the very first time I got arrested was actually a fun one. I went back to my high school.
Spaniard is one wild lad. He said the very first time I got arrested was actually a fun one. How is that fun? Yo, lad, drop a comment if you ever been arrested. Yo, which one should I smoke? Drop a comment. I mean, we're not live. You're right. Just smoke this one. Spark up, lads.
And took a kitchen knife and I held the school siege. And I made national news. I was in the national newspaper. I was raised here in Sydney City, the inner city areas, housing areas, amongst all the flats, housing commission houses. My childhood was, at a young age, it was good. I had a good childhood.
What about your education?
My education, let's put it this way. Most of the schoolwork I've done was in boys' homes, juvenile detention. To put in a perspective, the level of my education, although I'm an exceptionally intelligent person, considering myself.
Yo, I'm smiling because I love Spaniard. I really do. I really do. So it's funny, like, when just to hear him talk, like, when he'd be like, perhaps, my school, like, the way he talked with his hands and shit, like, it's just so cool. Like, he kind of reminds me of me. He really do, I'm telling you. If you don't get it, that's because you just don't get it. You know what I mean? But real recognize real.
Circumstances, but yeah, most of the school I'd done was in boys' homes in jail, yeah. And it was fun.
Why did that happen? Why was you in boys' homes and jails?
Oh, well, depends how Jordan Peterson you want me to get with this, all right? Nah, but at the end of the day, like I'm from the inner city area of Sydney, and crime and drug addiction is all part of the culture here, or very much was. Members of...
Now look, lads, because this is what I meant, because Megsy, I seen your comment, you like, oh yeah, like I said, but look, this is what I was trying to ask, because in some parts in Australia, you guys literally just, it's shanks and shifts, that like shanks and sheaves, right, that's just like, but that's what they known for. But I heard in Sydney in particular, that's where more of the gun violence would take place. So really what I was asking is, how come it's just like that in Sydney? Like, is it because there's more access to guns in the Sydney area of Australia, or is a lot of places they just be like, because 1-4 is from Sydney and they shanks and sheaves. I swear that's all we need. So to hear about the gun violence that's coming out of Sydney kind of just confused me a little bit, because I'm like, huh? So are there like different gun laws in Sydney that maybe, I don't know, another part of Australia wouldn't have? Does this make sense? Like, in Atlanta, anybody could get a gun. New York, hell no. Break that down to me. That's basically what I'm trying to figure out.
So my family were famous criminals and good thieves, stuff like that. Drugs in my family. So it was inevitable for me to follow that path. So as early as I could, you know, the age when you're out and about and you're allowed to hit the streets and everyone gets their character. You know, some kids become skateboarders and some kids become footy players and some kids become career criminals. And that's what I chose. So I ended up.
A career criminal is hilarious. But he has a point, though. He 100% has a point. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to tell you like this, parents. Watch your kid until they like 18, for real. Because I didn't start doing bad shit or unacceptable shit that I would consider unacceptable now until I turned like 18. You know what I mean? So like my parents was on me until 18. And at that point, you know, you're grown now. You can make your own decisions. Not really, to be honest, but that's just how America sees it in most places around the world. So, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, it's like, when are you actually grown? Even though they say the brain fully develops at 25, but come on now, I didn't really start getting grown until 30. And that's because I kind of forced myself to be grown. I'm like, all right, I'm 30 now. I got to start thinking better. I don't know. Yo, drop a comment for my older subscribers, because you got to explain this to me. Like, when do you really grow up?
Up in boys' homes and, yeah, pretty much raised in boys' homes, yeah, bro.
What was the first thing you was ever arrested for? What was the first crime you committed?
The first crime I committed, the first thing I was arrested for are two very different things. But we'll talk about the first thing I was arrested for. It was while I was still going, so obviously it's the first thing I was arrested for, so I hadn't been to boys' homes yet. I was still going to high school. I think I was in year 8, 14 years old. And I was stealing mobile phones. You know, mobile phones we're talking the year 2000 here. So when mobile phones just come out, or the Nokias, you know, playing Snake. So I used to go around stealing kids' phones and whatever. And apparently...
Yo, I'm screaming. You know, back in the day with the Nokia phones and people was playing Snake? Yeah, I was the kid that was stealing those phones while people was playing Snake. Like, yo, son, lads, I'm telling you like this right now. I had an amazing childhood. You know, shout out to my family. That's why I'm well-grounded. I have my moments. I'm only human, but for the most part, I'm well-grounded. I don't act the fool when I'm in public for the most part. You know, like I had a great childhood. You probably think, what this guy do anything? I say that to say when I got older, I chose fucked up, stupid shit. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I had the great childhood. I went to Disneyland. I went to Disney World. You know, most people would consider that a great childhood. You know, I had a great support system. I graduated. I was told you could do whatever. You could be whatever you want to be. That's why you guys see me today, being whatever I wanted to be. So I got older and was like, I want to hang out with gang members. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Because, like, granted, like, I'm in the hood, right? So, like, granted, you know, like, your family, or at least my mom's side, they, you know, my dad's side a little rough. That's where the rough side comes in, you feel me? But, you know, your family, they want the best for you. But you in the hood, so, like, you see all the gang members, you see all the fun they have. I mean, you want that. So when you finally on your own, like, I'm about to hang out with the gang members, you feel me? And then that explains why you guys see my rap videos with all the, you know, the activities going on, that's going on. So I say that to say, sometimes we just choose some fucked up shit. But as a kid, I chose the right path. So that's good. So as a kid, choose the right path. Choose the right path I feel like I chose the right path as an adult as well. No, it's all about your decisions.
Someone gave me up for stealing their mobile phone, so I got suspended from school. And I always had a nice fascination with knives, and I was well versed in the practice of knives since primary school. So I thought I'll take this as an opportunity to go back to the school and do a siege. So the very first time I got arrested was actually a fun one. I went back to my high school and took a kitchen knife and I held the school siege. And I made national news. I was in the national newspaper.
Yeah. Tell me about that story from the start.
You want to hear that story in depth? All right. So, like I said, the first part's already been said. Someone gave me up. I got suspended. Don't come back to school. The next day I went to the school, right? Got a kitchen knife. And I thought I'll blend in. What my plan was to go door to door, classroom to classroom with my kitchen knife and sort of intimidate someone into admitting that they gave me up. I wanted to know who gave me up. So, you know, I can...
The funny thing is I actually heard this story in his what is it, the Hood Talk? I heard this story, so I'm going to fast forward this only because, you know, we seen this one before. We heard this. And go look at that reaction so you guys can see it. But yeah, I seen that. Cause I'm a real Spanian fan, so we seen that, and I'm gonna put the description below so you guys can see me react to that.
Just getting arrested. So we're talking 14, if you're talking my juvenile times, 14 to 18, I spent most of that inside. I think one time in my boredom inside a cell, I'd calculated the amount of time I stayed out and this and that. I think during my juvenile period, I was out for about 8 months over that 4-year period. It was, I can't tell you exactly each time what it was because there was multiple, you know what I mean? I was in and out, 3 months in, 1 week out, 6 months in, 2 days out, stuff like that. But at that point in time, we were doing ram raids, we're stealing shit boxes with screwdrivers, smashing them through shops, smashing them through offices, loading it up with computers and stuff like that. During my juvenile period, got done for a lot of ram raids, break and enters, stuff like that.
What are the juvenile centres like in this country? Because in London, or the UK, should I say, they're considered to be, I guess, even worse than the prisons, just due to everyone's got a point to prove at that age. Is it the same here, or...?
Yeah, you're the first person that's ever really asked it that way after all of these podcasts that I've done, brother. That's a good question. I'll tell you what I find about juvenile compared to the adult system in Australia. It's a lot more aggressive on a lower level. So there's a lot more lower end aggression in juvenile. Everyone will fight over anything because the consequences in juvie are very small. So you have a fight, you go to your cell for the night, right? So people, we're fighting over everything. You know what I mean? There's punch-ons, 4 or 5 punch-ons a day because there's no consequences. So you only got to get called a gronk here. And like, there was an old thing like, if you call someone a gronk, it's on, you know what I mean? Gronk here in Australia means like, how would you, like, trying to think how would they say gronk in England, bruh? Whatever, bruh. Anyway,
It must be bad for them to have to beep it out. Yo, what's that? What's a grunk? What's a grunk? What's a grunk? That shit sound crazy. I ain't saying that shit.
Of the story.
Because we keep it positive and respectful around here. But I do need to know what it is, though. In case somebody call me that. Call me no damn grunt. Yo, lads. Yo, lad. Knock his head off his shoulders. Who the lad? Whoever lad, whichever lad I'm with that day. You know what I mean? Because, yo, let me tell you something. When I come out there, lads, I want at least 2 or 3 hood lads with me. Like, you got to be lads in the hood. You know what I mean? In case somebody try to play me. Bad enough y'all told me, TT, you can't bring no weapons. I'm a sit and duck. And of course, I'm going to have a few of my niggas with me, you know. But still, we're all sitting ducks. You know what I mean? So y'all got to make sure. I need some lads in the hood. I need them with some Nike shit on and all that. So I know they giving it up.
Is gronk is a diss word. So you chuck that out there, the fight's on, people punching on all the time. You go to your cell for the night, you come back out, everyone's friends. In jail,
everyone's friends.
There's big consequences to fights. Like, you have a fight, you're gone to Segro, you lose all of your property, you're sitting in there for a month, you got no food, you got no TV. So people hold back on the fights a lot. So
I'm guessing Segro is solitary confinement. We have that. It's like the little box that they put the prisoners in when they start bugging out and all that.
There's way less fights, but when there is fights, they're a lot more serious. So you got to contemplate that. Like, if I'm gonna smash, I'm gonna go to Segro for how long? I'm gonna get in good. So in juvie, people aren't getting stabbed, people aren't getting this and that. Everyone's just, you know, it's like, box. It's like sparring in there, right? You know what I mean? It's part of training.
And then what was next in Spanian? So after doing 4 years in the juvenile system?
Yeah, I've done about 3.5 of those 4 years in the juvenile system and then graduated to prison. So when I was about 16, 17, I become a heroin addict. Started injecting heroin, which was all part of our culture around here in Sydney City.
What? That's part of y'all. It's not like that though, right? Because he said that it was like 15 years ago. 15 plus years ago. So now it's like the ice thing, right? You know, I did a video on ice. Is ice? No, ice ain't the same thing. I gotta look at the ice video again.
Heroin addiction, thieving, stuff like that. And so my crimes had changed accordingly. So I was doing a lot more junkie type crimes, low level crimes.
1 minute, Spanian. That's massive. How did that happen?
How did I become a heroin addict? Funny as this may sound, when you're growing up around these inner city flats around here, heroin was, you know how you hear people say, oh, when we went to school, you smoked, all the cool kids smoke cigarettes and you sneak down and you smoke your cigarettes behind your canteen and...
Oh shit, my bad, lads. Yo, the idea of all the cool kids smoke cigarettes is funny because, like, that's not cool. That's not... All the cool kids supposed to have straight A's. But when you think about it, it's like that. Yeah, like in my hood, shit, all the cool kids smoke weed, you know what I mean? But it's like, that's not... Like, we gotta redefine the definition of cool. Because the straight A's, oh, he a nerd. The niggas that's failing, oh, they're cool. What? America has brainwashed us. Well, that's just the world has brainwashed.
Blah, 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 all those yarns. That was heroin to us. In where I grew up, in the decade that I was a kid around here, early 2000s, it's like if you weren't on the heroin, you weren't one of the boys. As funny as that sounds, but that's the truth. All the older boys that we looked up to, the bank robbers, the ram raiders, the searchers, they were all heroin addicts. Our peers were heroin addicts. It was like becoming one of the boys. It was almost to the extent that when we were all heroin addicts, we looked at people that weren't on the heroin as gronks. It's like, hey, you're not even one of the boys. Like, you're not even on the gear. You're not even hustling. You're not even shooting up. In hindsight, that sounds ridiculous. And I know that's not the case for a lot of the world, but here it was. So there is no tragic circumstances in which I become a heroin addict. I'm not trying to hide any pain or anything like that. It was like, almost like, fuck, I can't wait to be a heroin addict. Yeah, bro, where's the heroin? I'm one of the boys now. Let's do you know what I mean? Yeah, it was just all part of the culture here.
That's crazy.
And lucky for me, and barely any of the boys that I grew up with in these circumstances, I ended up getting off when I was 21 in prison. But a lot of all of the boys haven't. And their lives have suffered.
And that's crazy, right? Because for him to have started so young on a strong drug like that and to get off and change his whole life around and still be around it, because he goes to the hood, he's around it, and have the strength to be like, nah, I'm good. It's like, how could you say this man hasn't changed? Just like an alcoholic, they say alcoholics won't even walk into a bar. This man was a drug addict and still going into the hood telling you guys what not to do, showing you guys how serious this shit is. And he don't fold. He don't say, yo, let me get that. It's like I don't even, like, you know what I mean? It's like, and if you anything else other than this, you're a hater. You're a hater. You're a hater. That's it. That's it.
Accordingly, their life is in jail. 20% of them are dead. Yeah.
How did you get off the heroin? Was it? I know you said you was in jail.
One day, bro, like in the midst of my junkiness, whatever you want to call it, I'm down at a prison out in the country, doing an 18-month sentence, whatever, far from home, junked off my head. And to that extent, I never had a perspective of me being a junkie. In my head, I was Spanian from Sydney City, the mad money maker, the good-looking cunt. You know what I mean? Like, I was fresh, I was violent, I was the man in my head, right? Because being a heroin addict was so normal that it didn't come into play. One day, bro, don't ask me what, right? One day, I walked in my cell, it was lock-in, it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night, by myself in a cell, little shaving mirror that we got in our cell. Looked in it a million times, brother. I walked past there and I looked in the mirror. This sounds corny, but this is the fucking truth. I walked in it in that one split second. This is why I say, I don't know if it was a psychosis or divine intervention. I seen the true me. I looked in that mirror and I seen a full, ugly, putrid, junkie, loser, like that. I seen it. I looked and I was like, I shit myself. I was like, what the fuck? I spent in that night 2 or 3 hours staring at myself and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. In 2 hours, my whole perspective of myself had
And I believe him. I believe him. Because let me tell you why I started doing like reactions. First, I used to do pranks. I first got introduced to YouTube from the girl I was engaged to. I was only engaged once. So the girl I was engaged to was my fiance. I loved her. I fucked up. Whatever. Moving on. So she introduced me to the whole YouTube thing. So, like she started doing the pranks on me. I'll do the pranks on her, blah, blah, blah. That's how I started. But then it just stopped. It wasn't getting no traction. So now, originally, of course, I was doing music. But then after, she was like, hey, let's do this to, maybe help the music. So now I'm like, I'm not getting no traction. I'm done. I'm done. Like, I'm about to basically just, I don't know, maybe go back into the music, maybe find a job. I'm like, this is just not working for me. And I remember looking, and this might sound crazy, but I remember looking in the mirror to us in the morning. You wash your face, and I'm like, nigga, you about to get a job, nigga? Like, you about to let somebody tell you what to do? Like, you don't even like your girl telling you, know what I mean? Like, that's what you about to do? Like, and I remember watching DJ Ghost. And a lot of people compare me to DJ Ghost. And you know what? Before, it would get me mad, but it is what it is, Thank you. It's a compliment. Because I look up to that man. I remember watching him, and in the video, he was like, what we ain't about to do is smoke weed all day. I had the blunt in my hand after just saying, I'm going to just smoke some weed all day. I'll figure out what I'm going to do with my life later or whatever the case may be. And I said, yo, he talking to me. He's talking to me. I put the blunt down. I got my phone. This before I even had a computer. I got my phone. I had 2 phones at the time. I still got 2 phones. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm about to do a reaction video like Ghost. And the rest is history. Just so I believe him. Like, sometimes you really got to look in the mirror because, granted, DJ Ghost is what hit me. Like, yeah, let's go. Get up. Do something. But looking at myself in the mirror, like, you really about to get a job? Like, that's not what you like to do. That's not what you like to do. So sometimes you really got to look at yourself in the mirror, bro. Even let's say the shorty leave you. I look in the mirror too, like, if shorty do some dumb shit, and I look at myself in the mirror like, girl, you better stop playing. Like, she plug it out next. Like, I look in that mirror.
I changed, and I was embarrassed of myself. I was embarrassed of the way I looked. I was embarrassed of what I had become. Even my perspective of the boys in the wing with me. So in the wing, when we get released, I thought, yeah, I'm in the prison wing, we're all this and that. I thought everyone was mad there. I thought prison was the collection of all the sick in Sydney, you know what I mean? If you're in prison, you're a mad. And I walked out even the next day, skipping forward to the next day, I walked out and every lad that I looked at, my mates, the randoms, I just looked at as a pack of putrid junkies. Like, I don't know what happened to me in that hour, but it changed my whole perspective. I'm not saying it changed my perspective of crime. If anything, it led to me being a better criminal, but it changed my perspective on myself. And that night, listen here carefully, I was addicted to buprenorphine, which is the substitute for heroin addiction. It's like methadone, the tablet version. Heroin, injecting since I was a teenager, right? And that's the hardest thing to beat, needles. People think the certain drug is the hardest thing to overcome, but the feeling of putting that steel in your arm and injecting it, and whatever substance it may be, hitting you instantly is a very addictive thing. In fact, I might say it's more addictive than the substances themselves. I gave that up. Cigarettes. I was smoking, back then we had pouches, White Ox, I was smoking 100, 150 cigarettes a week, whatever.
Yo, lads. And I do put tobacco in my blunt, I ain't gonna lie. But yo, lads, don't be smoking cigarettes. Don't be smoking. I'm supposed to just smoke the straight dope, I ain't gonna lie. But recently, I feel like my dog hairs, I'm gonna pause. Cause like, they be jumping on you and shit. But I say that to say, just no cigarettes. No, just smoke the dope. Just smoke the dope.
All on that same night, I said to myself, in that 2 hours of looking in the mirror, I said to myself, I promised myself that I'm going to be a better criminal. I'm going to be fit. I'm going to be sexy. I'm going to be a mad money maker. All of this money that I'm out here making, I prided myself as some mad money maker. Oh yeah, I'd steal your laptop. I'd break it, do a ram raid and feel... And I give all the money away to drug dealers. I was a bum. And I promised to never be a bum again. I promised to never be ugly again. I promised to never be a shit fighter again. So I come out the next day and I gave all of my stuff away. We had syringes. I had syringes hidden in the kettle, drugs in my mattress, whatever I had. I said to the boys, I go, take everything out of my cell. They got excited. They thought it was Christmas, so they flew in, ripped my cell to shreds.
Yo, I'm screaming. They got excited. They thought it was Christmas. They flew in. Yo, I'm screaming.
They thought I was spinning out, and I might have been spinning out. And they looked at me like, even a couple of them that actually had...
Yo, what does spinning out mean? Is that like, y'all know how I be like, yo, when I do my reactions, like when, and I be like, yo, some lady bugging out, some chick bugging out. Is spinning out like bugging out? Like bugging out me like, I'm about to say bugging out me, bugging out. TT, what? Bugging out me like tripping, like you on one, like you not thinking clearly, like what's good with you, like, you know what I mean?
Careful me, said like, bro, don't give all your stuff away, bro. Like, are you spinning out? Like, you're going to be sick. You're going to be hanging out. I said, brother, take it. Don't ever say that to me again. And from that day, that was in September 2007, I was 21 years old, and I have been off drugs, cigarettes, no alcohol, no nothing now since 2007. What's that? 15? I don't know, 16 years. 16 years, brother. I hung out, like obviously I withdrew, hanging out we call it. I withdrew very strongly for a week and a half, no sleeping, couldn't stand up. And I loved every moment of it. I loved every moment of it. People ask me nowadays, because I had this goal. I'm going to be the drug dealer. I'm going to be the one taking your money. I'm going to be the one fucking your girl. I'm going to be the one doing this.
Yo, chill. Don't fuck my bitch, bro. Yo, Ilche, Ilche. Yo. Nah, no funny though. That's my mentality though. Like I got the mentality. Like I told y'all, I don't know if y'all really pay attention to me. Most of y'all do. So like the other day, like sometimes, I drop like 4 or 5 videos a day. Cause really what I do is like 10, 15, sometimes even 20 videos a day. For real. So my hands were hurt. And I remember being on the phone with the shorty. She like, yeah, hands hurt. Just take like, damn, how you feel? I said, I feel good. She said, you happy that your hands hurt? That mean I'm working, baby. That means I'm working, baby. How dare I complain because my hands hurt because I'm working? Nah, I'm working. It's supposed to hurt, baby. It's supposed to hurt. God gave me these hands. Jesus gave me the motivation. God gave me these hands for a reason. Put them to work. My hands hurt. If my hands don't hurt, I ain't working hard enough. And I'm disgusted. I feel like a bum. Ew. God done gave you this whole 24 hours and your hands don't hurt. Why? You ain't contributing to society. Why? What's wrong with you? My hands gotta hurt because that means I'm working toward my goal. My hands ain't gonna always hurt. Trust and believe. No. Because my God don't forsake me. So he ain't gonna leave me to have my hands hurt. No. I'm gonna have some days when I get to relax. Who this? You know what I mean? So, I feel me? But I say that to say you supposed to, like he said, like, had that mentality, like, nah, I ain't no bum. I'm gonna do better. Dude,
that's gonna be me. That's not gonna be other people anymore. I'm not letting that happen to me. I'm gonna be the GOAT of the hood, you know what I mean? I'm the hood superstar. And that was my intention for a long time. And people say to me, because, like I said, to a lot of people, it's a big dramatic thing. Wow, you were injecting heroin since you were 16, 17, like, wow, how did you get off it? And they ask me until today, do you get cravings? Do you get cravings? Like, do you see heroin and it's like, oh, and a crumble? And I'm like, listen, let me tell you one perfect way of saying it, all right? If you've been eating something, right, I've said this before, if you've been eating shit for 10, 5, 20, 30 years, I don't care how long you've been eating shit, you thought it was bubble gum, looks like bubble gum, tastes like bubble gum. You put it in your mouth and it chews like bubble gum. And I come to you one day, just like what happened to me in the cell, and I knock the dust off that bubble gum and I show you that shit. Look, you thought it was bubble gum. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's a fire analogy.
You're gonna say this, you're gonna go, oh, yuck, 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 and you're gonna go wash your hands. You just noticed it's shit. Then I say to you, do you crave that anymore? Because you've done it for 25 years. What are you going to say? Of course I don't fucking crave it. It's shit. It don't matter how long I've done it. So that's what happened, brother. And that's how I can...
And that's why I'm able to move on so fast. When people be telling me, well, how you able to just get over what she did or just move on from another person to the... Because once a person show me who they really are, like he said, that costume, all that comes off. Oh, that's how I'm not attracted to. Ew. I thought you loved me. No, I loved what I thought you were. I don't love that. Ew. You're supposed to love me unconditionally. I didn't love you in the first place to even try to love you unconditionally because I didn't know who you was. Ew. You know what I'm saying? Ew.
Can be here 15, 16 years later and it ain't a thing, you know what I mean?
On the back of that then, Spanian, if you could go back in time, would you have never touched heroin?
If I could go back in time, would I have never have touched heroin? I don't regret touching heroin. I don't regret it because
That's like somebody told me the other day. They was like, yo, would you regret doing OnlyFans? Hell no. I ran up a bag. Are you stupid? Hell no. And even if I didn't run up a bag, hell no. Something that at that moment I wanted to do. So you got to go back. Whenever somebody asks you, do you regret? Go back to at that moment when you wanted to do it. How could you possibly regret something that you wanted to do? Now, if I didn't want to do it, then yeah, that'd be different. But come on, we all have choices. If you make a choice to do something, you got to make that choice. You got to stand on that choice. Can't nobody take that choice away from you. That was your choice. The only way they could take it away from you is if you regret it. So you don't do that. Because that was what you wanted to do at that moment. That's what you chose to do. Yeah.
Because I tell you one thing, bro, when you go back in time and not do things, at the end of the day, I'm here right now. And my life's sweet. What if I didn't touch heroin?
I got my apartment. My rent was paid. What if I didn't do OnlyFans? That I would have got kicked out, and I would have had to probably have to go days and months without putting together videos. You get what I'm saying? So you really can't take away. And a lot of women have that regret. Like you got the strippers. I've talked to many strippers, you know what I mean? I done some strippers and all that, you feel me? So I you know what I mean? And first thing they say is, I just hate being a stripper. I'm like, oh, shorty, you can't take that away from you. You did what you had to do. Look at Cardi. Cardi was a stripper. Cardi got a Grammy, best rap album. What we talking about here? Now, what if she was never a stripper? She probably would have never put half the bars and the energy that she put into her music that make us like her still to this day. So you can never regret. Come on, now, you gotta make peace with that shit.
If I didn't touch heroin, and I'm putting this in perspective, this is real, right? At the end of the day, I'm here and I love who I am and I love what I've done. If I didn't touch heroin when I was 16, maybe I would have been playing footy and crossed the road and got killed. How can you say, you know what I mean? Like, the life choices that you make are your path. I could have been anything in the world, including dead. So I'm happy that I'm here and I have 2 healthy children and
Yeah, that's a fact.
I have a good life and I'm alive. So how can I take anything away? Anything of your past you take away or switch, you're probably going to end up dead, you know what I mean?
And then what was next for you, Spanian?
That is crazy. But that's possible.
After that, after me getting off heroin, so when I got off heroin, that didn't change the criminality in me at that point in my life. So I was 21 years old. If anything, I emphasized the criminality after that. Like I told you, I wanted to be a better criminal. So my goals had gone from being the lad in the hood that stabs everyone and makes the money, but he's on the drugs. I wanted to be the smart. I wanted to be the smart cunt. I wanted to be the cunt with the cars, the jewelry, this and that. And that was my goal. And I set out on a mission and I couldn't wait to get out of prison. Thought about it every day. Every time I was in prison, when I get out, I'm going to kill it, I'm going to kill it, I'm going to kill it. And stop the violence, because the violence is, out of all the types of crime, and this is what I say to people, people like to see me now because of what I do and I tell my prison stories. And my story is like a story of redemption in a way. They confuse me.
No race, no gang, I did it the hard way. I'm dumping them off in a R8. I'm dumping them off in a R8. No race, no gang, I done it the hard way. Yo, shout out, Spanian. Yo, we gotta get this man his credit. And then I heard they stopped making his book because of the comments he made on the LGBT community. He ain't even say, what did he say? He ain't say nothing crazy. He didn't say nothing crazy. Like, I can't stand overly sensitive gays. Like, what's your problem? What's wrong with you? And even if he did say something crazy, honestly, you got freedom of speech and you are all entitled to your opinion. But he didn't say anything crazy. But if he did, you're entitled to your opinion. Sometimes people say some stupid shit, but he didn't say nothing of that nature. To be honest, if you disagree with anything he said, you're crazy. So, yeah.
Me with like, You know, like I'm someone out to save the kids. They confuse me a lot with that, but I just tell it how it is. And what I say to kids is, I'm not going to tell you kids to not be a criminal. I'm not a policeman and I never will be, and I'll never tell someone not to be a criminal, but I will tell you one thing from my lessons. Don't do violence and rubbish crime. Go make money. Do something that's worth it. Imagine being a dickhead that sits in jail for 25 years for stabbing someone. What a fucking loser, cuz. You didn't even make money, you didn't even have a mad life. You know how many idiots are sitting in jail? Pretty much. Let's put it like this. What are you in jail for? Oh, because this lad thought he was tough. And what happened? I was tougher than him. Oh, so what happened? Oh, and I got 25 years for being tougher than him. Good on you, mate. See you later, brother. What a loser. At least...
Now you're not getting no shorties. No shorties. And if you gay, you're not getting no shorties of your choice. Like, come on, who want that? Like, I like to pick and choose my shorties. Like, you know what I mean? Don't put me in a box with a bunch of shorties that I ain't choose. Like, what?
If there's, at least if you're in jail, what did you do? Oh, bro, I was killing it outside. I had this car, all these women everywhere. Swear, I got money, I'll get out to her. So that's the only thing that I say. And the reason I say that at this point in this yarn is because that was my intention after that. So I only just turned really money focused with my crime, and still end up in and out of jail for it. End up being a drug dealer, fairly successful drug dealer, selling heroin and cocaine. Done exactly what I wanted to do, switched the circumstances and done it to the best of my ability and was good at it. Still got arrested though, wasn't that good, eh? But anyway, that didn't bother me, because I felt like I belonged in jail. So going back to jail was nothing at that point in time. The times have changed now, I don't feel that way anymore. But yeah, that's what happened directly after that. I got out and become a worse criminal and done bigger sentences. So then my sentences started jumping from 18 months, a year here to like 4 years, 6.
Bigger sentences is crazy. Like, what? Like, just imagine you just did 18 years, come out, you chilling, do some stupid shit, and you gotta go back in there for even longer time. Like, bro, that 18 months must have felt like fucking 20 years, and now you're gonna go back for longer? Like, nah, I don't know how niggas do it.
Years. So my last sentence was like 6 years. And so in fact, sometimes like your way of thinking, it's better to be a shit criminal. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Spanian, can you tell me what was your worst memory of being in prison?
Worst memory of being in prison? If you're thinking of it in some dramatic sense, what is the most violent thing, this and that? If you're thinking of it in some spiritual sense, they're two very different things. But in the most dramatic sense, was probably the first time that I was within earshot of an attempted murder. The bloke didn't die, I won't pretend he did. But I was only, so where was I? I was in Parklea prison. I was 18 or 19, first or second time in, and the cell right next to me, and we share airways. So if you fart in one cell, I'm breathing it in this cell. That's how close we are. And it was like 5:45 in the morning, and I think from what I could hear, the two cellies over there didn't know each other, and the one on the top bunk kept jumping down. He mustn't have had cigarettes, and sneaking in mateys like on the bottom bunk, sneaking in his pouch and like stealing a cigarette. And I just heard a commotion, but you just had your fucking hand in my cigarette, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, with a little argument, about the cigarettes, he just went in a full stab fest on him. And it's not that the stab fest was scary to me. Like when I was 16, 17, whatever, 18, 19, I was known for stabbing people. A lot of the times I was locked up was stabbing people, attempted murders and stuff like that. But it was the reaction and the rawness of the bloke who was getting stabbed. And he was like, this was a grown man. The bloke that was getting stabbed may have been about 35, 40 years old. And he was like crying in a way I never heard someone cry before, and asking for help in a way that was like directed to the skies. And it was it made me very like sad and scared myself. Like I you know what I mean? Because I was in a cell next to it, so it's almost like I was there. The wing's dead silent, and it's just like a lad, he's just repeatedly stabbing someone. I can hear the stabs. That's not the thing. It was just the way the bloke reacted. He was like crying like it was his way out. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing left. And the rawness of his voice and his cry, it were like sent chills.
Yo, could you imagine somebody just getting they Michael Myers on, like, bro, and you're just listening to that, bro, and you hearing a grown man cry, bro.
Sent chills down my body. Like it was, it had me shook. It had me shook for a few days. I remember that morning just being shook. Like it was the first, you know, when in the first time in your life, you see the savageness of life. You know, us in the Western world, and Australia and America and England and that, and we're not used to that shit. You know what I mean? As gangster as we are, or as this, we're not used to that just complete savageness, you know what I mean? Like people chopped up and shit. Like, that was my first experience of someone reacting like that. And that left me shook. I walked around like a different person for 2 days. I was like, really like, yeah, it was weird. Like an anxiety is like, bro, that's fucked. Like that's fucked. And then I got over it and then got used to it. Yeah, so for that reason, that was a very dramatic moment in my jail career. And I was 18 years old, whatever.
And as well, what would you say is the most heinous or the most...
18 is crazy.
The most dangerous crime that you were sentenced for as an adult?
Most dangerous? Before I had come to terms with lowering the violence, there's a little spectrum out in my head, money and violence, brother, you know, they don't work hand in hand, brother, they don't go good together. So when violence used to be here and money used to be there, I used to be a bit of a psycho, right? I'm actually a clinically diagnosed high-range psychopath, whatever the fuck they reckon.
I am screaming. He's admitting, well, he said I'm actually a psychopath. I gotta agree with that, you know, because the shit that's paying us. But you see, psychopaths don't usually stop being psychopaths. They usually stay. That's why it's called a psychopath. You know, it's a psychopath. It's a pathway to just you stay on that one path. If he changed his life around, he's no longer a psychopath. Let me turn my brightness up. It's a little dark. If he changed his life around, he's no longer a psychopath, you know?
I don't really care. It got me 10% off my sentence, so I'm happy. You know what I mean? Are you happy being a psychopath? Yeah, I got 10% off. That's it. But I remember one time, one of my mates, and I was a bit stupid with the knives and that, so we're in jail. I'm getting out in 8 months. 8 months to go. My mate's on the phone to a girl, talking to the girl. The girl's boyfriend found out that he's ringing her, whatever. So I'm over here and he jumps on, he's arguing with my mate, stop bringing my fucking girlfriend, this and that. My mate's bash.
Problem. Let me tell you something. Take it from me. Never argue over your bitch. The moment you gotta... Defending your bitch is one thing, right? Oh, some nigga keep harassing your girl. That's different. But he just said, yeah, so my mate is on the phone with this girl. So that means she's entertaining it. That's no longer your girl. Don't argue with that. Yo, you on the phone with another nigga? All right, tell that nigga when he done, it's my turn with you. Cause you for the street. I mean, I'm not going back and forth. Hell no. Are you crazy? You look stupid as hell arguing about a bitch. Or my women, you look stupid as hell arguing about a nigga. You look crazy. Are you dumb? Don't do that. What are you doing? That nigga for the street. That bitch for the street. Why? I would never. Now, if it's my girl and you just calling her, harassing her, she not entertaining you, now, man, you got to have a discussion. Oh, you talking crazy? All right, yo, big homie, have a conversation with this. You know what I mean? Then that's another, then we could take it from there. But if she entertaining you, why would I go back and... Nigga, it was just my turn with her, bro. Which is like the whore I had. You know what I mean? I told you I only had one whore my whole life. You feel me? You think I'm tripping about that bitch? Nigga, it was my turn with her. I got a good 6 months with her. I piped the crazy. I was volleying her. It was the best sex I ever had in my life. You know what I mean? When she told me that shit she did, I'm, oh, you're a whore. But I ain't tripping off you being a whore, shorty. It was my turn with a whore. Like, shout out to everybody that ever had a whore. You know what I mean? You feel me? Like, ain't nobody tripping off the game, mama. You for the streets. Why would I be? Don't get up all mad about that.
Shut the fuck up. I ring who I want. Blah, blah, blah. Bullshit argument. And I thought, look, I'll jump on and I'll bridge up. So I jumped on. Okay, listen, dickhead. Fucking what are you going to do about it? Who are you? You're nobody. I'll get out. I'll fucking smash your head in. I'll kill you. That's what I said to him. Silly me. I took it serious. 8 months later, I full remembered. It's like I wrote it in my diary, cuz I swear on my fucking children's life, drop dead right now. It's like I didn't literally write in my diary, but what I mean is it's like I put in my diary, all right, I told this bloke I'm gonna kill him, so I'll get out and kill him. 8 months later, I got out. On the day that I got out of jail, I mean that when you get out, the only thing you get out of, you leave all your property for the boys, but you take your personal letters and photos, right? Makes sense. I hadn't even been home to drop off my personal letters or photos yet. So I'm walking back down the hood. My mum lived outside the hood, right? I walk back down the hood. No, I'll go home later. Go to my mate's house, stash the letters and stuff. I get a change of clothes, put some shoes on because you get out in thongs. And I'll talk to my mate half an hour, small talk. Yeah, bro, what's going on, this and that? And I go, hey, bro, where's this bro? I'm going to go knock this I've been out for an hour, I promise you. So I went down his house. He wouldn't come out. He didn't have a clue who I was. Mind you, in his head, 8 months ago, he's not going to remember arguing on the phone with someone. In my head, it's like, yeah, it's going down, bro. So he's like, who the fuck are you? I'm like, bro, I told you, bro, 8 months ago, bros, when I get out, I'm going to kill you. He wouldn't come out. I went to the petrol station. I filled petrol up. Don't ask me why. Walking back with petrol, I was going to burn his house down. And my mate's the whole way, my mate that's with me, he's going, dickhead, you're on camera at the petrol station, don't do it. I'm saying, yeah, he's right. All right, he's right. I wasn't going to do it. But when I got there, I still wanted to splash petrol on it for dramatic effect. And then,
Spanian really was a psychopath in his younger years. Dramatic effect? Like, yo, who thinks about this type of shit while he doing some...
He come out holding his 2 kids. Like a little bitch, he runs inside his house, gets like a baby and a little 5-year-old girl, whatever, and goes, look, bro, I'm here with my kids. And so I was, all right, bro. So I said, fucking wait till I see you, bros. I'm going to kill you. Watch this. Went up the street. I still couldn't let it go. Dumb. Like, I'm not saying this is smart crime. I'm telling you this because how stupid I was. Still wouldn't let it go. So I went to the shop, got a box cutter, right? $2 box cutter. And I thought, fuck, I'm going to wait till this comes out of his house and I'm gonna stab him, right? I'm gonna stab him, right? Not kill him, whatever, bro. Anyway, let's not call it kill because, let's just say I'm gonna stab him. So I went up the street. This is the funny part. I went up the street and waited in the bushes. So I know if he comes out, there's only one way to the shops and to where the boys are selling yandi. He has to come past these bushes. So I sat in these bushes with a box cutter ready to stab this idiot for like 3 hours. I swear more than 2 hours, almost 3 hours. And he rode past on a push bike. I jumped out, pulled him off the push bike, punched him in the face, stabbed him in the neck and hooked it. And I end up on the run for it. Yeah, so, yeah, end up.
Yeah, I end up on the run for it. Yo, how do you go from being a complete psychopath to being one of my inspirations? It's like, I don't even know how to. It's just funny.
On the run, so the dickhead gave me up, told the police and this and that. You know what? I'll give him this credit. I'll give the bloke this credit. He tried to lie to the police. He tried to tell the police he fell off his push bike, right? Because he's one of the boys, apparently. So we're not that willing to give each other up to the police, So at least he had an attempt of not being a dog, right? Said I fell off on the push bike. They left. Before he got his neck all stitched up, they done an x-ray on his neck to clean it out, and two segments of the box cutter had broken off in his neck. So I hit him with force and it snapped 2 segments and they were still in there. But and it's what got me done. So they pulled box cutter out of his neck, and so they rang the police back up and said, mate, this bloke's here, he's got box cutter in his neck. So they come back and they were hitting him with all these threats. Mate, we know you got stabbed, you got half a knife in your neck. And then like a fucking coward, he goes, yeah, Spanian stabbed me. So anyway, yeah, blah, that's it. So I ended up getting charged for attempted murder for that. Wound with the intent to murder is the exact name of the charge. But I fought it in court and I got a hung jury. Jury couldn't decide. Went to the second trial and the prosecutor before the second trial offered to lower the charge. So I don't go through a second trial. It's very expensive for the government. You know how it works. And so they offered me a charge of recklessly wound, which is the lowest possible charge you can get for stabbing someone. So I'm going from the second highest, just under murder, attempted murder, to the lowest. And I'm already on remand for 18 months at this point. So I thought, fuck, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't have that long left. Recklessly wounds, not that bad of a charge. So I pled guilty and I got 3.5 on the bottom. So I had to do another 2 years, which is a good result. Because if I committed to the trial and then...
Which is a good result. No, that is though. Like how you go from but that's how you know, like, yo, it's all about money. Cause y'all know what he did, you know? And y'all saying, okay, we're gonna lower it because we don't want to put you through trial again because y'all want to spend on money. Like that's crazy.
And unlucky got found guilty, I would have got 8, 9, 10, 11 years. So at that point, I'm thinking, I could get out in 18 months, 2 years, let's do it. So I pled guilty, and that was probably, in that sense, you're asking, the funny, violent crimes, that was probably the most dramatic one, yeah.
Spanian, how dangerous would you say the streets of Sydney are in certain areas?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, Spanian, tell me, how is it in Sydney? Because you know I'm going to Sydney. And some people telling me it's gun violence. Some people telling me it's shanks and shits. I don't know what to believe anymore, so I need to hear it from Spain.
All right. How dangerous are the streets of Sydney? Sydney culture Sydney gang culture, Sydney crime culture has changed a lot, right? 20 years ago, early 2000s, late 90s, Sydney was more of a Sydney versus the coppers, fuck the government. Sydney was more about ripping off banks, flying through the streets in stolen cars, a big fuck you to the police, cop and chasers, this and that. We weren't working in gangs to fight each other. We didn't turn each other. No one gave a fuck about what your postcode was. It don't matter. Who gives a fuck? No.
It was the people versus the government. That's what he said. And remember what I said the other day? I said that's what it should be. It should be us versus them. Because we're the ones who's getting the shitty end of the stick. And I said that before I even seen this video. Great minds think alike, man. So I'm trying to tell y'all, B.
No one cared about the number of people in your gang or what your gang's called. That wasn't a thing. It was who you are and how you hold yourself and how much money you make. And, you know, that was what it's about. That has changed a lot. All right, Sydney culture, Sydney gang culture and crime has changed a lot. And nowadays, it is a lot like that. It's people in Sydney in gangs fighting each other, people fighting over the fucking name of their fucking suburb and the stupid postcode they have and stuff like that. And so now now you get around Sydney, you don't see banks getting robbed. You don't see WRXs and Nissan Skyline GTRs flying through the streets with 30 highway patrol behind them. You don't see none of that good crime no more. You see fucked crime. You see people in one suburb killing people in another suburb and people just fighting amongst ourselves now, bro.
And it's stupid. It's stupid. It's so stupid. And it's crazy because, like, I had to get older to realize how stupid it is. Because it's like, yo, bro, where do we end up? Yeah, dead or in jail. And it's like, what? That's the end result? Nah, that's stupid, bro.
But unfortunately, I'm sure they all have their reasons why, and I'm sure it's really heartfelt, but to me, it's disappointing, bro. Like, yeah, it's people are murdering each other all the time now. You know, like in a lot of parts of Sydney, drive-bys, it's not such a knife thing. I know you're from England and you love knives. Here it's guns, right?
So you see how simple that, yeah. So in most parts of Sydney, shanks and shifts, out here, guns. Period. Get right to the point.
Not going to pretend that's like Compton or something. Relax, but the guns aren't legal here, but people still have guns, right? So, but there's suburbs out in Western Sydney. There's drive.
Yo, I'm screaming. He said, I'm not going to pretend it's like Compton. Yo, let me just say this, okay? Let me say this, because you guys know my plan is to visit all the states in America. And I definitely went to LA. I definitely went to Compton. I definitely went to Nipsey Hussle. I took a picture at the original Nipsey Memorial. The original, the one before it got destroyed. You know what I mean? Original. Just me and a shorty I was with. We need a whole bunch of niggas, but just me and a shorty I was with. And y'all can go look at that picture on my Instagram. But I say that to say, you see how he was like, it's not like Compton? I also been to O Block. And we got to stop this idea of Compton being this horrible place. I'm going to be honest with you. When I went to Compton, I was okay. It was cool. It was a nice, calm vibe. It was me and the girl I was with. Wasn't causing no trouble. It wasn't no trouble around us. It was no drama. It was a nice vibe. I was comfortable. Took a nice picture. It was a good vibe. Now, when I went to O Block, it was a little uptight. You know what I mean? It was a little, oh, shit. You know what I mean? So, well, yeah, maybe compare it to something else, but not that. You feel me?
Drive-bys every 3 days. There's big wars out there. Lads are like blowing each other's heads off in the streets, and the police aren't even reporting it anymore. Like, there's savage shit going on here. Like, yeah, there's some fucking MS-13 type shootings out here where people are like demolished bodies and that. But
what? How do you go from saying all of that and be like, what? What the?
Yeah, to me, it's disappointing. You know, I like that old Sydney. It's like us versus the police. How good do you drive? What bank can you rob? How many stackers can you make? You know what I mean?
And so, Spanian, I guess when did you make that change to become who you are today?
How did I become an Australian famous personality?
As well, because everywhere I went, when I said, who should I interview, your name came up more than anyone else's.
Of course, more than anyone. I'm the personification of Australian culture, Australian street culture. I was there since the beginning. The boys who are one generation older than me, I call the older boys, were the originators of the way we talk, the way we dress, the way we hold ourselves. So I was a kid witnessing that firsthand. That's been filtered out through the generations now. So a lot of people admire me for what I'd witnessed and what I'd done in my life. So during my last sentence, I was over crime, right? For the reason that I'd been a junkie at the bottom that would steal your handbag and steal your laptop out of the car, as small as you can get, to a good-looking, muscly drug dealer with chains and cars coming out my ass, right? I've done it. So, and the last sentence was like just under 6 years, 5 years, 10 months, whatever, for that. So I sat there in my last sentence and I thought, look, I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm not going to play the same game over and over. Like, I'm 31 years old, 36 now. This is 5 years ago. I'm 31 years old. I've given away my teenage years. My entire 20s was in prison. I ended up doing 13 years in prison. 13 years all up, boys' homes and prison, over the course of 17 years. So I missed everything. Anyone that I could have become, anything that I could have done up until that point was thrown in the bin. And I said to myself, like, what do I do from here? Do I get out and I be a cool drug dealer again? Like, oh yeah, mad, I'll just do that all again. And it's like, what's there to do? So I thought, fuck it, that's it. I'm going to live my life now. You know what I mean? I had a kid by then who, my son was born while I was in prison. I got out, he was already in primary school, missed all of that. I thought, that's it, bro. You know, I'm moving on. There's more to Anthony. There's more to Spanian than I fuck with in prison. So did I know what I was going to do? No, I didn't. But I knew what I was not going to do. I'll tell you this one thing. Since 2002, I remember I was 16 in Baxter Juvenile Detention Center. I started rapping, bro. I started writing verses, lad, you know what I mean? And I used to admire Bone Thugs and Wu-Tang when I was young. And, you know, I'd try to write like fast, like Crazy Bone, my favorite rapper ever, but write with the intelligence of Inspector Deck, top 3 favorite rappers ever. And back then in Australia, up until very recently, rapping was for fucking idiots. Rapping is something a fucking idiot does. Jail, boys' homes. If you're rapping, if you go to one of the boys and you start saying, yeah, bro, this and that, you know, that, they're like, bro, shut the fuck up, 50 Cent, you're an idiot. Like, are you a...
Yo, I'm screaming.
You know, are you normal? Do you need medication? Like, rapping ain't cool. So rapping was a secret thing that I done from 2002 to 2015, 16, whatever. I noticed around 2016, 17, coincidentally, when I got out my last time and didn't want to do crime, I noticed that Aussie hip-hop was a thing amongst the younger generations. And I was already, had stacks of raps like this, but I'm OG at rapping, lad, you know what I mean? So I started putting out raps. I thought I'm not going to know what I'm doing out here, but I'll get my brother to hold a mobile phone and I'll chuck it into iMovie and I'll chop it up and I'll upload some shit rap to YouTube. And bro, and it worked.
And that's how I was. I got my phone. I said, yo, I'm about to be on some DJ Ghost shit. I'm gonna do some reaction videos. Let me see. And the shit worked. You know what I mean? The shit worked. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, but I gotta make sure I got my own flavor. So I'm like, all right, DJ Ghost he don't really cover like the women. I'm like, oh, let me come and start covering some women topics. And I started getting my women audience. And I was like, oh, okay, I got me a little swag going on here. You just gotta do it, like Nike say, for real.
It worked, brother. And I started out rapping, lad, and I learned what Instagram was. I learned fucking what all these stupid things were, you know, that I'm on today. I'm famous on Instagram and TikTok and all these dumb things. And I learned about them, made a YouTube channel and started rapping, and I got a big following here. And I think more than my raps, I think what they admired was who I was. They admired who I was and the stories that I have. And you can imagine I'm sitting here with a bunch of rappers that haven't been seen or heard 1/10 of what I have done. So I got out and like, I think they seem like, oh, look at this rapper, he's the real one, or however you want to say it, you know? So I played that part, and the very first time.
Yeah, because I ain't gonna lie, like, that's why I love Vaughn, like, because it's like, oh, shit, he really did that shit, yo. Like, it's just something about the real. That's why I love 50 Cent, one of my favorite rappers, Ludacris, because, well, not one of my favorite rappers, Ludacris is my favorite rapper, because Luda just had this, like, he ain't no bitch, like, he didn't have the gangster aura, but he didn't give you bitch vibes, you know what I mean? So that's another reason why I love Spanian, because he didn't, like he said, no race, no gang, I done it the hard way. So it's like he just was himself, and that shit got him far.
I got up, you know, I got a following, 40, 50K Instagram followers, whatever. And one time someone interviewed me. Someone asked me to do an interview, and I didn't know like interviews. You know, someone wanted to make a doco pretty much similar to what we're doing right now, except it was sitting on the side of a street in my hoodie, Woolloomooloo. You know, it's the first time I ever done one. And when you're in prison, when you're in the streets, you come from, you know that old saying, I don't know where the fuck everyone gets it from, probably some fucking movie, but it's like, real gangsters don't talk, real G's move.
Yo, it's so crazy. That's a fact. Yo, let me tell y'all something. When I was doing, because I know I did a few of the hood vlogs and I went to a few hoods, and I had the issue, I'm like, y'all, mind you, this is my niggas I grew with, my niggas that was in my videos, my niggas my niggas. They're like, nah, T, we can't just be having you just recording on what's going on. And I don't even blame them, because it's like, yo, bro, like, real niggas don't be doing all that camera shit out here. What? So,
Move in silence, you know that shit. So I grew up with that shit, that mentality, you know what I mean? Like, I'm real. I'm not saying anything, bro. I can't talk about nothing, bro. That's for gronks. But I did, you know, and it was a big thing to overcome. And he's sitting there with a camera and he's saying, so like, what did you do when you were young? Like, searching and prison, much like you're asking me right now. And I was there, bro, and I was like, fuck, should I be saying this stuff? And I said, bro, and I just telling my own story, not talking about other people's stories. I don't have to. I've done enough myself, you know what I mean? I could go on for days if you want me to, but we only got 2 hours, brother. But telling my story.
As me, like these other YouTubers, some niggas ain't never been nowhere. I done been to the worst hoods of the worst hoods. No cameras, just pictures, nigga, like, cause it's not even on some, like, what the fuck are we doing here? When I go to the hood of all hoods, I'm not doing the extra. You know what I mean? We just in there showing our respect, giving, you know what I mean? I'll go to the corner store, show back to the local store that's in the hood, you feel me? But all that other shit these other niggas be doing, that's just doing too much. Now, if you trying to go back to the hood and, you know, do your little journalism, show shit that need to be spoke about. Like, I seen how when I went to 6ix9ine neighborhood, the moment I got off the train, it looked crazy. Why does it look like this? Stuff like that, clean that up. Stuff like that need to be addressed from fucking higher ups, you know what I mean? So it's just shit like that, man.
What I've been through and what I've overcome. And the first time I done that, the gates opened. And I noticed that all of these, my followers, whatever demographic they're from, they don't give a fuck about rap. They want to hear about me and my life and my perspectives, and, you know, they want to know the history of Sydney City and its streets and how we become who we are and what makes the
like Jay-Z said, if you walking into a Chinese restaurant, you want Chinese food, right? So it's like that. You got to give the people what they want. Just like somebody like, oh, you clout chasing over Spaniard. Yo, if I'm getting comments saying, yo, TT, react to the Spaniard video, I gotta give my subscribers what the fuck. I gotta give them what they want. I could sit back all day and watch Spaniard. I don't gotta turn the camera. I could be doing this. This is what y'all want. And the fact that it's inspiring and I'm telling y'all my stories and we can feed off of the energies of inspiration. Come on now. Why would I keep this to myself? I gotta share this. I gotta share these words. These ain't words of me. These words of God. I gotta share these words. What you talking about?
Ads in Sydney different from the rest of the world and how we prided ourselves. They loved it. So the first time I spoke, boom, hasn't stopped since. Here we are 3 years later, brother. 3 years later, brother. That's huge.
Spaniard, could you tell me what's the worst memory of your life, please?
The worst memory, it's one of these two things. In 2008, I was in prison, of course, on the other side of the state, and my older brother, he was a heroin addict, and he overdosed and died. And I'm pretty sure he overdosed and died in his bed at home. And I'm pretty sure it was a suicide. He was a well-versed heroin addict, had been a heroin addict a long time. Heroin addicts know how to not overdose. When heroin addicts overdose, it's usually through reckless behavior, through moods that they're in, you know what I mean? It's actually not that easy to overdose on heroin, despite what you may believe. He overdosed on heroin and I was in prison and they didn't let me go.
Yo, it's so crazy because I always felt like that. I'm like, yo, if you're an addict, right, how you overdose? Like, you know your limit. Like, you know your limit. Like, yeah, I ain't gonna do that because, hold on, this braid blowing my, like, why is it just, that's crazy. Like, you know your limit. Like, you're not going, no, it's not this one, it's this one. Ah, blowing mine. But look, as an addict, you know your limit. So I'm sitting there like, how do you overdose? Like, don't you know your limit? So he might be right that it could be like a self-destruction, suicidal type of thing.
Go to his funeral. So I dealt with that. My older brother overdosing and died. The only man in my life, my dad was long gone, the only man in my life overdosed and died, bro. And I wasn't there. And every day I dealt with my mum. She could barely talk. She could barely breathe on the jail phone in 6-minute intervals. I asked if I could go to the funeral, and because I had an escape risk on my file over silly shit, they didn't let me go. So that was obviously a very hard point in my life. And another thing that always sticks with me is that...
Yo, that's crazy that they didn't let him go to the funeral. Like, that's sick and twisted. They should have let him go. Like, bro, that's his blood brother. What's wrong with people?
So in 2011, my missus at the time was pregnant. I got locked up. I didn't get out until 2017. My son was born a few months after I went to jail or whatever. I got out, he was like 5 years old, in school already. So I missed everything. He knew me from jail visits and he loved me and he loves me with all his heart, you know what I mean? And I got out and I went home. And him and his mum were there, who's my ex-partner now. And but this shatters me. And I walked in, like, you know, said hello, like, and I walked up into his bedroom. And it's his bedroom, bro, and it's my 5-year-old son showing me his bedroom for the first time. And and he's showing me his toys and shit. And he says to me, he turned to me, and without the context, this doesn't sound sad, but I'll tell you why it's sad. He turned to me in the middle of showing me his cool room and he said, "Dad, I love you." Sorry, bro, 1 sec. He said, "Dad, I love you. Can you keep me?"
Yo, it's good. He making my eyes watery and all that. Come on, man. Y'all right now, I'm emotional. Come on now.
Forever. Like he was a pet. He said that. It's like he's been waiting to say it the whole time, right? Can you keep me forever? And I said, of course I can keep you forever, my boy. And the reason that's so sad to me is that, like, a year after that, me and his mum broke up. We don't get along. And I've never really got along since. And You know, like she barely lets me see him. So it's like I lied to him, you know. It's like he said, "Can you keep me forever?" And I lied. And here I am. And I was like, I'm barely allowed to. I can see him, don't get me wrong, but like, a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there, you know? So
And that's crazy because you got some men don't even take care of their kid, don't even know what their kid look like, still don't call and spend time with their kid, not even a day. And to me, that's disgusting. And you hate yourself. And you a hoe. And you should be ashamed of yourself to have a baby and not take care of your baby. Like, you're dirty. You're disgusting. And I don't respect you. And if you subscribe and you got a baby and you ain't taking care of your baby, you can unsubscribe. We don't need that type of energy here. You're negative. You don't care about yourself. You don't care about your offspring. Then you don't care about nothing. So we don't need you here. That's messed up that he can't take care of his child and he actually wants to be in his child life, or see his child and he actually wants to be in his child life. So this is old though, right? It's 11 months ago? Oh my goodness.
that's like, you can tell from my reaction to that, that's more sad than even my older brother dying. Yeah. But anyway, they're the two saddest parts of my life, brother. I don't feel sad for myself or any of my life, or the prison that I done. 13 years in prison, seen horrific things, done horrific things. I don't feel sad for myself. I feel happy about my life. I don't care. Jail doesn't affect me. After all that jail made me into the man I am. And I'm out here making stackers off the internet while everyone else who didn't go to jail is digging holes in the street, aren't they? So I can't be too sad, can I?
Mm-hmm. Yo, I'm screaming.
If you had one wish, what would that be?
If I had one wish, it's just to have my two sons forever, more kids, and have them all happy, and protect them, teach them to be real men and women if I have daughters, and they're healthy. That's it. There's nothing else. I don't care. There's nothing else other than that.
And before we finish, Spanian, is there anything you'd like to say?
Anything I'd like to say? That's a hard one. Hey, I'm very good at talking when you're the director, but when you leave it very open-ended like that, I'm like, there's too many lights, there's too many cameras, bro, I'm lost. Nah, not much, brother. It's just me, Spanian. You want to know what Sydney City's about? Have a look at me, brother. The personification.
Shout out Sydney. Hashtag Sydney. Shout out Sydney.
But, you know, yeah, we do say, g'day, mate, shrimp in the fucking barbie or whatever the fuck you think we say here. But we also talk like me. I am Australia, I am Sydney City, lad. What's doing, brah? We're not
What's doing, lad?
Be fucked with.
Good day, mate. That was aggressive.